Today's story is Cinderella, starring the prince, Cinderella herself, the fairy, the stepsisters, and the stepmother. Once upon a time, there was a gentleman who married again after the death of his first wife. The new wife was the haughtiest woman that ever was seen. She had two daughters with her former husband, and two daughters were very cruel like their mother. The gentleman also had a young, beautiful daughter with his first wife, named Cinderella. Their stepmother and her ugly daughters were very greedy and selfish. They used to hate Cinderella because she was more beautiful than them. So the stepmother could not bear the goodness of Cinderella and gave her the meanest work in the house to do. Cinderella had to scour dishes, tables, etc., and to scrub the floors and clean out the bedrooms. The stepmother and her daughters treated Cinderella very badly. But the poor girl bore all this patiently and did not tell her father about her exploitation. Times passed by. One day it happened that a king's son held a ball in his palace to look for a girl to be his bride. Therefore, all of the young girls in the city were invited to the ball, but Cinderella couldn't go because she had no fine dress and a pair of shoes to attend the ball, and Cinderella's stepmother ordered her to stay home and do household chores. When Cinderella's stepmom and sisters were getting ready to go to attend the ball at the king's palace, Cinderella was doing household chores. After that, all of them went to the ball. Cinderella also followed them secretly, and she had lost sight of them. She started crying. In the meantime, a fairy appeared before her. She took Cinderella to her place and asked her what the matter was. I wish I could, I wish I could. But she could not finish for sobbing. Then the fairy said to her, You wish you could go to the ball, is it not so? Alas, yes, said Cinderella, sighing. Then the fairy told Cinderella, Go get a pumpkin and two mice. As Cinderella brought everything for her, the fairy took a pumpkin and touched her with her wand and turned it into a fine coach. She then turned the mice into fine horses. After that, she touched Cinderella with her wand, and instantly her clothes turned into clothes of gold and silver, all decorated with jewels. Then she gave her a pair of glass slippers, which was the prettiest in the world, and told her, Now go to the ball. But you must come before the clock strikes 12. If you linger beyond that hour, your entire splendor will vanish, and your dress will turn into rags again. Cinderella promised to obey the fairy's instructions and got into the beautiful coach. When she arrived, there was a great stir in the palace. Everybody, including her stepmother and stepsisters, also thought that it must be some great princess arrived from a foreign kingdom. The prince was amazed to see her, charming beauty of Cinderella, and started to dance with her. Cinderella forgot what the fairy had said until suddenly she heard the clock begin to strike 12. She remembered that as soon as it finished striking, all her fine clothes would turn into rags again. And jumping up in alarm, she ran out of the room. The prince ran after her, trying to overtake her, but Cinderella in her fright ran so fast that she left one of her little glass slippers on the floor behind her. The prince stopped to pick it up, and this gave Cinderella time to escape. Just as she was crossing the palace yard, the clock finished striking, and immediately her finery vanished. And there she was, dressed in her old ragged dress again. She returned back to her home very sadly. The next day, the king announced that the prince would marry the lady whose foot the slipper would fit exactly. Many ladies came and tried but failed, and this gave Cinderella time to escape. Just as she was crossing the palace yard, the clock finished striking, and immediately all her finery was vanished, and she was dressed in all her ragged dress again. At last, the king's men came to Cinderella's house. She tried the slipper, and it fitted her exactly. Soon she changed into a beautiful lady with whom the prince had fallen in love at the ball. The prince was overjoyed to find her again, and they were married. As for the wicked sisters and their mother, they threw themselves at the feet to beg pardon for all their ill treatment of her. Cinderella took them up as she embraced them, said that she forgave them with all her heart. Cinderella lived happily with the prince forever afterward.